Welcome, everybody. I'm sorry I had to put the video up there for starters, but welcome to season 2, episode 4 of the Made in Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Mighty Vicious, here with the love god, Jamie James.
The love god himself.
Indeed. And now we are here with Filipe Duarte Pina, and
Hello.
he's our guest for today. And we are all here to learn. That's why we're all here. So we're going to mostly throw it over to him for this episode, but we'll have a few questions here and there. So yeah, tell me, for starters, I guess, like, tell us about you. What's been your journey to the world of dreams?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here. It's great to do this type of interviews about dreams. I don't think I've done one in a while. Over a year since Dreams launch, I had an interview at then. But your question about the journey to dreams, how far back do you want me to go?
Oh,
I'd say start at the beginning.
Start at the
yeah,
beginning.
let's go to the root.
I would say just go to the beginning, and then you can kind of edit as you go to if it feels like it's getting too long for you.
No, it's like I ask, where do you want me to begin? Because I can go back when I started thinking of doing video games or,
Well,
professionally.
let's start there.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let me think a bit. That's deep. So I've been doing video games for about 20 years now. And although I did some stuff when I was a kid, because we had at home, my father had bought, I was around 12. So I'm going this way back, 12.
Mm.
And my father had bought a ZX Spectrum, Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which in Portugal was huge. And it's actually a microcomputer made in Britain, super popular in the 80s. And Portugal had a factory that manufactured them here.
Wow.
And they were cheaper. So I tried to code and I did some things, and I was 12. And so I found it super hard to learn the math part. So, and this is the 80s, right? I couldn't just go online and check for tutorials and all that stuff. So I had some books to check. There were magazines you could check the codes of some games. And I found it a bit, okay, this is really not my thing of programming, but I love it. Okay, love video games. Art is the thing. And that kind of fell off my radar for a while. And jump for later, like around when I was 18, 19, and I got my first computer, like real computer. So no longer a console microcomputer, just like a real PC. This was in the 90s.
Nice.
And here in Portugal, to get one of those computers, either an IBM or, Commodore or something, it was expensive. But I started working early. I got out of school earlier and I started working earlier. And it's another long story. And I paid for my first computer after a few months of working. Like all the money, I was still living with my parents, and I just bought a computer. I started learning 3D. At the time, this was 97. So I started checking, what's out there to make video games again. And I started learning 3D, and I started doing some things. And at some point, there was a game that came out, which was Unreal Tournament, and it had a in-game editor where you could do your things. And I loved it. Okay, I can do my characters. I can do how you do the skins and the textures and all that. So at some point there, between 98 and 99, I was just trying to do characters. Or okay, now Warcraft 2. Warcraft 2 had its own editor, so I would try to do my things there. And so I went through this. I was already working. I actually started working in motion graphics after a while, because I learned so much 3D, and there were no courses like for motion graphics here in Portugal. I got the job doing that, and I continue at home trying to learn this stuff. And around 2000, I finally got 99 2000. I got cable internet at home, which was a big thing. It's like, wow, fast internet. You don't need to connect it. Old school modem. So I entered all these chats online about video games development, and I found the team. And this is where it all really started. I found the team, and we started doing games. Very amateur games, doing our own. And you couldn't buy an engine. There was no Unity or and if you had an Unreal Engine, you had the IDE software engine from Quake, but those costed like 200,000 euros or 300,000. And so my friend, we were three. Actually, then we were four. You learn how to code a lot of stuff. We learned, how to do a lot of the stuff ourselves. So it started through there. So there was no. You have to imagine that at 20 years ago, there was no video games industry in Portugal. There was like zero. There was nobody making video games, except we found another team that had started around the same time. So there were two teams that were amateurs in Portugal making video games, and that was it. There was nobody else making video games. We did have a video game scene in the 80s and the early 90s, but then it died because there's a lot of stories, and I won't go into that here in Portugal, but I thought immediately, oh, wow, I really want to do this. I have my day job. It's a stable work, but I really want to do this. So I started the process of, I come from arts. I studied arts. I know 3D. I'm doing these things. I really want to do video games. I will just make my own company and, go for it. So it took us, you have to imagine, it took us a few years. We did a lot of prototypes. We did a lot of small games. And finally, we founded our first company, me and those friends, in 2006. And we launched our first PC game in a box because the digital market, although you already had Steam and you had Half-Life 2 and all that, digital market was not, what it is now. It was nothing, right? And so we got a publishing deal to publish, a game. I won't go into it. And it started growing from there. Like since there was nobody here in Portugal, we could also, when we hired somebody, it was a huge problem. There was no experience. So we had to train ourselves to do things. So it went from there, and then we got a deal with a publisher. We made some Nintendo DS games at some point. We managed to learn again ourselves how the things work. Documentation in Japanese for most of the machines that came to make games in Nintendo DS. We did not know how to get some stuff. And it grew. We got in touch with Sony. It started growing. And at some point, we had enough money and we had backing and funding to make a PlayStation 3 game, like a big one. And we thought, okay, what type of game do we love? And we love real-time strategy games. And this was back in 2007, 2008. But there's no game like a strategy game on console that is done right. At the time, you have to imagine PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, you had ports and they were terrible. They didn't work. This was before Halo Wars. Okay, Halo Wars came out in 2009, and so we were like, okay, we are going to do the first one that is made from scratch for console. We've learned all this stuff since 2000. We're really good at it now. We can do our own engine. We can do our own things, our own tools. Let's do it. We got the funding. We went ahead, and for 3 to 4 years, we made what was the game called. And the Americans still laugh at this because we here in Europe, we did not know. We made a game, we trademarked it, and it's called Under Siege. And Under Siege is a Steven Seagal movie in the US.
It's a
but
wonderful
here
movie.
In Portugal, it's not called Under Siege. So we did not know. Only very late when we started the marketing and we had the brand already. We managed to buy the brand in the US for video games without being told that this was, from the offices that take care of this, without being told that there was a movie called, and it didn't pop up on our research that, anyway, so we said, okay, screw it. It's a game. People will search. There's a lot of things that are called the same name, but it's a game and it's a film, whatever. Doesn't matter. Under Siege it is. And so we worked on it a lot, and Sony was impressed. We had very good marketing analysis. You guys will sell big. This will be amazing. This is will be only for PlayStation Network. And if everyone remembers on PlayStation Network at the beginning, you didn't have that many great games. And at the time, there was a game that came out. It was Little Big Planet. And Little Big Planet, as you guys know, was one of the first games that allowed you to create content inside the game.
Yeah.
Store it on the drive and publish it. And we're like, if these guys can do this, why can't we do an RTS that also has an editor and people can make their levels and publish it? So we went for it, like completely mad people, like crazy. And so we had to pitch to Sony for them to approve. Back then, you couldn't just like an indie. That was not a thing. We were indie, but we'd go to Sony or just another guy, another company making a game. And they said, are you sure you want to do this? this is super hard. It's like you. So they went through the process. This was between 2008 and the game came out in 2011. And we put all the money we had. We put everything. Everyone was saying this is amazing. We got interviewed by Edge magazine. We got PlayStation magazine. We were everywhere. And it was like, who are these guys in Portugal? Portugal has done, has no track record of games. There's a few between 2000 and 2008, 9. Already some games had came out in PC, mobile, and we got to 2010, and we were with the final build to start going through QA and all those stuffs. The PlayStation Moves came out, and Sony asked, we have prototypes. You guys, we love your game. Do you want to incorporate it? Let's incorporate it in the game. Let's throw everything but the kitchen sink. So the game, you have to remember, this was 2000. The game came out 2011. The game, when it came out, had multiplayer 4-player, had split screen 4-player, the editor, you could publish your own levels, Move controller compatible. It had streaming capabilities in using the PlayStation 3 YouTube app. You could film yourself while playing using the old iToy camera or the new, I don't remember what was it called, the camera for the PlayStation Moves.
Wow.
So we just continued coding and putting stuff in. It was our baby, so we just put everything in. And then marketing said, this is a big problem. How, what is your game? It has everything. What's the main feature? It said, everything. Everything is the main feature. Is it the editor? I said, no, there's a campaign. You can go, you have your troops and you have your story and have all this. Okay, so is it that? So it was a huge problem. We never thought that would be a problem, but it turned out to be a strange one. And also, we, at the beginning of the creation of the game, we called it a RTT, a real-time tactics game, because you had no, it's action. You don't build stuff. You just go into action.
Right.
So we said, well, this is not a real-time strategy game, it's a real-time tactics. And the marketing would say, nobody knows what that is. You won't be able to sell it. You have to just type in, even at the time on the store, the PlayStation Store, there was real-time strategy as a label that you could put. And so we said, okay, let's just change it. And if somebody asks, we'll just explain the story. So that's what we did. That helped a bit with marketing. And so this went on through QA 2010, like I was saying. We went to 2011, a lot of back and forth, a lot of problems with languages because we had the inbuilt editor. And if you translate the game to 6 languages, the whole game has to be translated. Yeah. Actually, the game came out with the editor only in English because you have in, out, if, and, or. And if you go into German, and if you use a German word to do that, it's crazy. Then you have a big word. Or if you go to French, some word doesn't exist. So it doesn't work. So we convinced them to leave the editor in English. Everything was packed. It was approved to launch in April, 18th of April, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And now you guys ask, so what happened then?
Yeah, so what happened then?
Do you guys remember what happened in the month of April of 2011 with the PlayStation Network? Well, I sip a bit of my glass of water here.
I didn't realize it was going to be tested. I'm on edge now.
Yeah, I'm thinking back because
it's a long time ago. It's 9 years ago.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3.
Was it the? Well, no, that wouldn't have affected it. Yeah, I don't know. You got the
It got nothing. Okay. So, do you guys remember the PlayStation Network outage?
Ah, yes. I remember.
That
okay. See, I was thinking. So that was it. Yes.
Yeah, that was it.
Actually,
it was the attack. On the week to launch, there were 2 games to launch. You have to remember how crazy this was back then. There were only 2 games that were going to launch on that week because back then you had 1 to 2 games launching every week. You didn't have 1,000 games launching every week. And the store would feature those games because it was the only games coming out, right? So we were done. We're made. Like, this is going to be great. We're going to make the money back. Everyone is telling us the game is great. So we got the attack. The game didn't launch, plus the other game that was back then was from Ubisoft. And we're like, what do we do now? So we were like, our investors were crazy. Like, what the hell happened? Can't you just launch it on, Xbox or PC? Said no, because this is our engine made for PlayStation 3. You can't just yank the engine in, it take years to do another engine. And so we went back and forth with Sony, and we said we're screwed. If this doesn't sell, we're dead. And so they said, we don't know. It's a hacking attack. We have to turn everything down. Everything, you shut down the servers. At the time, for those who don't remember, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
You couldn't buy anything on the store for a while. You couldn't play multiplayer games for a while. And then they slowly rebuilt their database. And I think they changed even the location of the actual servers to somewhere else. During this time, we were like, we're dead, it's over. And we were talking with Sony, how do we do this? When do you guys open the store again and say it's coming? And so I was so mad, and we flew to London because we were dealing with Sony UK, which is responsible for the European territory. So we were flying to London, having meetings there, and I was like, come on, we have to do, we're small, the big fish will take a hit, but we will just disappear. And of course, the account manager at the time from Sony was super. Agostino is his name. And said, we will help you. We'll try what we can do. So what did they do? They gave us featured space. Plus, they said at the time, PlayStation Plus had came out 1 or 2 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we can go put you on PlayStation Plus with a heavy discount. Heavy discount. We're starting immediately with a discount. It's like, okay, sure. So, and then as the time went by, there was announcement, okay, it will be back on June the 2nd, which was the day they turned back on PlayStation Store and PlayStation Network services. But as time rolled by, they started talking back to customers saying, everything is fine. Your credit cards were not stolen. We managed to grab everything. But as a safety measure, you have to create your data. We deleted all the data of I don't know if you guys remember this, the Visa cards and MasterCards, PayPal accounts. There was nothing there. So as a player, if I want to buy a game, I have to put my data again. Obviously, as a player, putting on the side of the consumer, why am I going to buy a game on a store that was just hacked? It's like, even I will wait. I will not buy a game here. I will just buy it in a box. I'll give it a. For us, we knew that. It's like the time they turn on the store, nobody will buy the game. They will wait and see. Yeah. And so Sony announced, I don't know if you guys remember, Sony announced we will turn the store back on, and we will give for free 6 games. It was Dead Nation, Burnout, Paradise, Wipeout, I think, HD or something like that. We're like, no, you're giving free games, nobody will buy anything. It said, no, because we have, to have the PlayStation Plus active for you to get the free games, people put the cards back on.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously, you guessed it, we didn't sell shit. We sold a few copies, but it was horrible, and we were dead. So basically, we still tried to make new deals. We launched in Asia. We did another discounts. We launched a few levels. We did a special edition that came out in 2012. But by 2012, we were closing the company. It was over because we had put all the money in one title. And so I was like, and in Portugal, it depends from country to country. But when you declare bankruptcy on a company, depending on the country you're on, the rules are different, right? So, for example, in the UK, James probably, I don't know if you know this, James, but if you file for bankruptcy and you have loans, the government protects you and the bank protects you, and the insurance pays part of the loans. In Portugal, that doesn't happen. If you declare bankruptcy, the government protects you, but you have to pay the loans or declare personal bankruptcy, which is even worse. So it was a huge confusion. It was a huge problem. A lot of my colleagues lost a lot of stuff, sell houses, sell cars, disappear everything. And I was like, okay, what do I do next? Do I just go, I can't. And so I decided to make another company and go at it again.
I love the determination.
From scratch, from zero. So I made another company. I will jump this one. It's called Nerd Monkeys. It's still active. I'm no longer there. I left it with my partner. Is at the helm now. And your intro that was here on the podcast has some of those games from Nerd Monkeys that were my creation. And in the process of this happening, Dreams was the guys from Little Big Planet said, oh, these guys are still doing something. It's like, Dreams? What is this? This is great. And you have to understand that since Portugal is small, and since I've been here for a long while, I know everybody. So I know the guys from Sony Portugal. I know the guys Nintendo Portugal. The guys from Xbox, I don't know as well because they're always changing. It's not always the same people there. Nintendo, no, they keep the same people for years and years.
Yeah.
Xbox, they're always renovating. And so I called up my colleagues at Sony PlayStation, said, hey, there's a game coming out to a beta called Dreams. I need to get my hands on that. Can you get me one? Said, yeah, we'll get you one. So during like the moment it launched on the beta, I got my hands on it. I went through it all. I said, this is amazing. This is going to be great. Said, you guys have to let me, whatever you do, PlayStation Portugal or even UK, let me in on this. Let me know what's going on. I'm super interested at the time. So this was 2019 or 2019, the beta, correct? I'm doing my jobs. I have here, at the time I had left my second company. I was working in other things, games as well. But I want in on it. Let me, keep me updated what's going to happen. And all the usual questions that still are to can I publish my own game separate of the Dreams? Can I do this? Can I do that? And we don't know. We're not making the game. Media Molecule is making the game. Okay. So at some point, I went through the beta and then I ran out of time. I didn't publish nothing. Like I made hundreds of creations. Said this is all crap. I need to get better at this. But at the same time, there was the usual problem. I'm making video games for a living on a daily basis, and then I get home at night and I'm going to make more games. It was not, it didn't fit in. So
it's not conducive.
My wife also was saying, come on, what are you doing? At least play video games, don't make more games. So I decided, actually, I had the game through beta, and unfortunately, I didn't have enough time with it. But as time went along, from PlayStation Portugal, they said, Filipe, hey, it's going to launch. This was around December. It's going to launch early next year. We are starting our marketing stuff. And you got to remember, this was before COVID. So there's something that's coming up here as well because of this. We're going to do something. Are you still interested in doing something with us? Hell yes, let's go. What are you doing? Is there Media Molecule? Normally, Sony grabs the producers or the developers and they tour them through the countries. So in case here Media Molecules from the UK, it's super easy for them to fly them to Lisbon and then to Madrid, then to Paris, and they do the tour presenting. I want to be there. I want to meet the guys. That's it. If you get me in just for that, get the signed copy or something, I'm there. I'm a huge fan. I'll go as a fan. And that was the initial plan. And as we get to January, they said, look, we have a big problem. This is super hard to market. We don't know. We have a lot of ideas of marketing. And would you work with us for this launch? Because I've done this type of work of consulting. As years go by, people get to meet me, and then they can you do some consulting on game design for? I've never done it, sure, but I know what you need. So at some point, PlayStation said, Portugal, we need some help here. Can you come in? And you've been playing with the beta. We have some ideas, and so we got the meeting. They hired me only for the launch of Dreams here in Portugal. And I started throwing ideas, and one of the ideas that stuck was, let's do a game jam. Let's do a massive game jam. There's global game jam online in late January. Let's put Dreams in there. Let's get the universities. And so we got 3 universities from Lisbon. We got copies for all of the students. We got teams. And there was a weekend, started on Friday at 1, coinciding with Global Game Jam, where there was a game jam with submissions of Dreams into the Global Game Jam. So if you go to Global Game Jam online, there will be a section, you will search, you'll see Dreams submissions there. Oh, nice. These are from the students and some companies that also did some stuff, some friends. So we did this Global Game Jam. I don't know if you guys remember what was the date of the launch of Dreams. It was February something.
February 14th, I believe.
14th, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So game jam, we'll do the game jam. Then we grab the games. There will be, as a showcase for news reporters to say, look how easy it is to do. We can, these students, and they're all from universities teaching video games, right? They have video game courses. Look how easy it is to do. So it went really well. We had a lot of small, crazy, as you guys know, in Dreams, you have a lot of these crazy little games. And it went really well. I did one game as well. It's with my profiles there. The game I did in 48 hours. It sucks. It's okay. It's nothing special. Just to showcase that you can do something really fast.
Yeah.
I haven't updated it on purpose, because if I would update, I look at it now, oh, this is crap. I could have done so much better. but I wanted to keep it in a capsule in time, so it's there. 48 hours of work. Don't touch it. And we went to the launch, and suddenly they said, Philip, we have a bigger problem here. Because I was hired to not only take care of Global Game Jam, but take the students to the event where Media Molecule would come and the news reporters would go there on the 14th. Actually, I think it would be 2 days earlier, on the 12th. But they are not coming. I said, they are not coming. What happened? Well, there's this thing, the virus, and this is, COVID. And we were not on lockdown here in Portugal yet, or not anywhere in Europe. Said Sony is taking extra precautions and measures, and they are decided not to do any trips anywhere with any of the first-party teams anywhere in the world. Said, come on, Media Molecule is not coming. Okay, so what can I do? Can you showcase the game? So, me? Yeah, to the news reporters, live. Said, crazy? Yeah, can you do it? I can do it, but it's not. I'm not the right. It's like you are comparing me to one of the guys in Media Molecule. I have there's things I don't know how to do in the game yet. It's like I'm okay. I'm medium level user. It's enough. You just show them. So they did the event. TVs, they pay these agencies, news reporters, and there I was, showcasing the game. Can you do this? You can do this. I'll show you how to do it. Can you do that? Yeah. And so we did a live also stream to YouTube for the official PlayStation Portuguese channel, where I gave an interview of what is Dreams. Media Molecule sent a video of them talking and also showcasing it, which made my life easier. So it was them showcasing, not me. And so this kind of stuck in the head of a lot of people, including the universities. And this is where the Dreams in the school to teach game design comes from. It's from this event. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling now for almost half an hour. And
you're not. This is what we're here for. Keep it going.
And so, I think a month later or 2 months later, one of the school guys, not the principal, but one of the school from the board and directors, came to me, hey, Philippe, can we go for lunch? I've seen this thing of Dreams. Do you think it could be possible to do postgraduate of Dreams, using Dreams for game design? Absolutely. Said, let's go for lunch. So we discussed it. He laid out, how does it work a postgraduate? How could you do it? Does it work? He made all the questions, and he made the same questions that I'm always, can you release a game outside of Dreams? No, but I've heard a rumor that this might come in the future. And so we went through it all. The green lit was given by the school board to go for it, and a budget to do this. Of course, I know the guy from PlayStation Portugal, but the school itself also had some connections already with PlayStation, because they had the PlayStation First initiative, which is something here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it exists outside Portugal and Spain.
I don't believe it does.
I don't think so, because you have this thing when the PlayStation Plus games came out every month. In Portugal and Spain, you always have one extra game. I don't know if you guys noticed this, and it's the game from the PlayStation Talents and PlayStation Initiatives here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't see it on your account if you don't have a Portuguese or Spanish account. So, they had this connection. So we got in touch to say, this is brilliant. Let's do it. The school is up to it. We'll, what do you need? We need PlayStations and we need Dreams, all the copies of Dreams. They got us in touch with Media Molecule again. Media Molecule said, this is brilliant. This is what we've been trying to do for some time now. And they said, you're the first ones. I said, we're the first ones. That nobody else is doing this. Said, well, we've had contacts and other schools are thinking, but nobody has made the move yet. And I'm like, okay. So, and they sign, not literally sign, but they said, yes, let's go. We had a lot of meetings about how we could teach game design through Dreams. How does, normal philosophy of teaching video games in Unity or Unreal, or how can we teach even the basics, like you have in design, you have the basics of color and shape, or you have the philosophy of, whatever you want to call it. You have game interaction, game loops, you have a narrative, you have history of video games, like something as basic as just to, have a lecture of history of video games. So we get all that together. We got some people in the community. there's a good friend of mine called Wilson who also has been with Dream since beta, and he teaches at that school as well. So suddenly you have got two teachers, me and Wilson. We both know Dreams in and out. You got 3 other teachers from the industry that make video games for a living also there. And you had 2 other teachers from the school that are more on a theoretical classes. Plus, Media Molecule has one guy of them, James, that will teach with us the project class, which is the last class, which is the biggest one, 32 hours. So we will be online helping the students and checking online their projects. So you got all this together, and the plan was to start classes in November. It got delayed because COVID just kept delaying it, because in Portugal right now it's really bad. I think we're in the top of the list of the 3rd wave of hits. So we just pushed it all to online. We got a lot of students. We have 18 students. We were expecting like 10 or 12 because you pay for this. This is expensive course. You know, it's not a cheap thing. So we were thinking it's COVID. This will not start now. People will wait. No. We got a lot of interested people. And the course is starting with 18 kids. I think maximum we can handle is 22, if I'm not mistaken. We pushed it all for online. All the PlayStation 4s are sent to the kids' home. Kids. It's not for kids. It's for everyone. Sorry, I'm saying kids because I'm used to it. Because I used to teach kids, so I say kids. So we have 18 people. The PlayStation 4 is being sent to everyone who doesn't own one from school. Lent. They have to give it back at the end of the 9-month course. And the Dreams key is theirs, so they can put it on their accounts. And most importantly, not only the diploma at the end of the 9 months, but all the creations in Dreams are theirs. They don't belong to the school. So this means that if they make something that they like, they can continue on, and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. That's how this came about. It was all about, me pushing, PlayStation pushing, Media Molecule not being there because there was COVID. And I was now introducing and showing the game. And I already taught, I taught for 5 years in the school here in Portugal, video game design. So it's something I've done for a long time, as a part-time. So it's starting. It started this week, the first class online. I only start teaching class in March. My class, which is game engines and editors, is only in March. And then I also teach narrative in game design in May. And then we have, through the summer, we will do only one class where the students do the project, like the entire game from start to finish.
So we had a question in chat. Do the students do team projects in Dreams? If so, can we find what they've done? But that wouldn't be it. Basically, it's not there yet.
It's not there yet, right? So this was a big question because for everyone online to see the students' projects, they have to be published, right? Mm-hmm. If they are published, it means everyone can see them. So we are thinking of creating maybe an account, like a fake account or just a normal PSN account that aggregates and follows all of the students. So that account is following all of the students' work or something like that. Or we just post it somewhere. These are the students. These are their accounts. You can follow their work in here. We thought about teamwork, like 2 students joining to do a game. But that defeats the purpose of the postgraduate itself in the school norms, where you have to evaluate the students individually. Mm-hmm. So we need to know if they actually know their stuff when designing their games. If later or in their off hours they would like to make some game as a team, they can. But for the project class, they need to do their own game, right? So it's individual.
So if I can ask, where during this awesome origin story, which I don't know if you've been paying attention to our chat on Twitch, but
no, I'm sorry, I don't look at myself on. I can jump. Oh, it's a lot of stuff. Okay.
They are loving this story, and they've been making comments throughout the whole retelling of this strong ballad. This strong ballad.
I'm reading now. I cannot get distracted with this. I'm sorry. You guys have to filter it for me.
Yes, we will. But see, one of the first things when we thought about, or when we scheduled with you, I started looking up stuff just to find out more about you, and I came across a TED Talk that you've done. And
that was some time ago. Yeah.
I want to know at what point during that origin story did you give the TED Talk? Because that's big. That's big stuff.
It was before we closed. So when we launched Under Siege, it became a big thing here. We made it to Primetime News. We got an agency and we paid them to go, and we managed to get Primetime News at the first PlayStation game made in Portugal. So me and my friends, we got very well known during that period of time. Obviously, our parents were drooling all over the place because of that, which is, understandable. They kept all the magazines and all the, we just left. James just left.
Yeah,
this was too much for
we
him.
just lost
Too
James.
powerful story.
He was out of control.
Here he is.
And now
I'm back.
Now y'all have switched positions.
Sorry.
So let me get that back straight. He was like, I'm sick of hearing all this awesomeness, and just left us.
Is it a problem with the positions? No, it's just for fun. You guys are making fun of it, right? Doesn't matter.
So no, so with that being the case, you said that they were just all up. They were really happy for the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at the time, I got invitations for everything to speak everywhere. And I was enjoying it, of course. What could I do? I said, at some point, I knew, thought, there's so many people calling me to talk. I'll just start charging them. And they paid. So I started charging them and got paid to go. And eventually there was, come on, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah,
at
you
some point,
do.
I'm paying for gasoline to get in my car to go, 300 kilometers somewhere. It's got to pay for the hotel and the gasoline at least.
Yes.
So I got to an invitation to TED Talk, and they said, you have 15 minutes, talk whatever you want to talk about. And so I just put the story up to that point in 2012. So it didn't include the closure of the company yet, but it included the fact that it is important to not give up, right? Because it is the usual. Now you see it a lot in memes on the internet, especially, like a lot of stuff about that, never give up, you have to continue. But the fact is, when you're there at the heat of the moment, a lot of people just lose a bit of, or even from your friends, why are you doing this? Just get a job.
Yes.
At that point in time, and you got to remember this, in Portugal, video games industry there was nothing. I still, even though with the launch game on PlayStation, I would still get the occasional conversation that video games are for kids. Why are you doing this? This is a toy or something. So this was normal. And so I said to myself, and at the time, my girlfriend, now my wife, I said, honey, I will just try it again. I have all this knowledge up so far and all these connections. The least I can do is try again and do another company and go for it again. Actually went well, as we didn't go bankrupt. It didn't do as well as Under Siege because I didn't want to go that far into investing so much money, such a big gamble again. So we made a lot of small games and a lot of small gambles. But it was fun. And eventually I just, fame went away a bit. You're as famous as your last game, movie, comic, whatever. But it's fine. I kept all the connections and all the people, and this has been quite a ride, I would say. But there were people on the way that gave up. I have friends that said, I don't want to make video games anymore. It's like, screw it. This is too much. But I'm a happy guy, I would say. I take things in, life's a joke. So, why not laugh about it a bit?
Indeed. So I'm going to get, well, I think that's important for a lot of dreamers to hear personally, because, you constantly hear people that are just, it starts to get to them, the pressures of creating and basically doing what they've wanted to do. Building a game is not easy, and all the stuff you have to troubleshoot during it. So if anything, the story you've told us so far is just a testament of what iron will allow you to achieve.
Or I'm very, very stupid, or I'm very, very stubborn. There's it's a thin line here. Well, call it iron will. Yeah.
It seems to have worked in your favor. So whatever you're doing, you're obviously doing right.
Yeah, well, you can be a bit more. You can sound like a big philosopher, but eventually I will die at some point in my life. So might as well have some fun. So there's people in in places that are, on Earth, that are much worse than this. There's people dying from COVID right now. So it's like my perspective on life helps me also keep it light and not take things too seriously. Of course, I have to be careful about the people around me. That's also a thing. So I have no kids. I would probably not do the same choices if I had kids. If that, so there's that. So it's a conscious choice of career path, I would say. But yeah. So maybe coming back to dreams, there's a lesson here, which is. As I said before, there was nobody making video games here in Portugal, and there was no digital market, and games were hard to do or harder to do or to get started. And now it's so easy that you've got a tool like Dreams where anyone can just pick up on a PlayStation and do a game, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when I say these stories, I say, it's easier now, but you have many more people doing it. You have thousands of people doing things. But also means that you can do it on your own free time and go for it just for fun to see how it goes before you decide to take a bigger leap, because you might think that you're the greatest creator on earth and you have the best idea, and you start making it and said, okay, this is not what I thought. And in the past, for you to reach that conclusion, it would take a longer time to reach the conclusion of I don't like to make video games. So so Dreams has come along, and when I say Dreams, there's a few other tools outside of console like Unity, and also which is free, and Unreal Engine is free. You have all these tutorials online, so you can just give it a go and try it to see if it's your thing, which I would say it's easier now, but on the same time, it's not easier now because there's a lot of people making games. It looks like all the games, all the good ideas have been done, to death. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask that you get a little critical here because we've talked about it a few times, but I think it would be interesting to hear it from you. Let me ask you, what do you feel now that you've had all this experience with Dreams and gone through this whole kind of it being the last 2 years of your life? Like, what's missing from Dreams that you believe is absolutely necessary for it to be weighted amongst the other engines in the industry?
Right. So, yeah, this is a good question. So the thing that's missing is not the content. You could think about, they could add more tools, or, you could add the thermometer stops there. I wish I could do more, or it's not regulated correctly when I publish it and people don't see it, something like that. I think the thing that is missing, and this is the thing, is that it sounds to me that more users of Dreams are making games than users are playing them. And this is a problem.
It's very true.
Why does it happen, and how do you solve it? And I think they don't tell us, but I do hope that this is what happens next, is that if we have such good games in Dreams already, from start to finish, there was one that stuck in my head, which I always use as an example because it's been a year since it came out, which is this simulator in a pier. What is it called? Pier simulator? Like you have a pier, like Santa Monica Pier, and you have your attractions, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at it from a programming point of view, or even a video game designer point of view, see, okay, this is something that took its time. It took a while to make. There's a lot of stuff going on here at once. And that could be a game that could be published outside of Dreams, right? And this is what's missing. It is the part where players that look at Dreams and look, this is a tool to make games. I'm not going to buy it. Instead, what you should get next step is, okay, the creators are using Dreams, and then there would be a publishing pipeline somewhere on PlayStation, either on PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, where you would get something like PlayStation Plus, where you would get a free game every month, like a curated free game from Dreams. You don't need to have Dreams, because that's the problem, on my opinion, is that you would get millions of players playing your game if they didn't have to go through Dreams. If you know what I mean, you have to buy the package. Because it's like, do you guys buy Unity to play games made in Unity? Or do you even download Unity? No, you buy the final package. Mm-hmm. Unity stuff is in there. Actually, a lot of games are shipped with, random stuff from Unity still left in there, They shouldn't, but it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
The same here with dreams. Should create a package. Media Molecule could curate it, because it's wrong to let the floodgates open and everything is published somewhere. The floodgates are open inside dreams for everyone to test everything, but then you would get some special curation, and those games would be published on the store.
Okay.
And there you would have the solution for why I'm making a game, it's in dreams. Okay, can I make good games? I can make good games. Can I publish them? You can, but not really. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even getting to the point if you're making money or not out of it. That's the second part. Can I make money out of it? That's a whole can of worms. But the fact that you could publish it for free on the store and it would be a contained package, it's still dreams, but it's just your games with dreams, packed in dreams. That would be, for me, the next step. I really do hope that's what they're doing. That's for me, that's what's missing.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we've discussed this numerous times on the podcast before. I think exportation is definitely something that Media Molecule are looking into, and I think it's going to come later down the pipeline for the 10-year plan that Media Molecule has for Dreams. It's just that obviously there are such a lot of legality issues that come around the exportation because, lots of remixes, infringement on IPs and stuff. So I can imagine for them to actually make this physically a thing that's possible is going to be an absolute logistical nightmare. But I have been thinking about this, and I think another way they could easily get around this problem, in the beginning at least, to bring the player base back up to sort of normal levels, is to release another version of Dreams that is purely just play. So remove all the creational tools, get rid of them, call it Dreams Arcade or something like that, where it's literally just the dream surfing aspect of it, and release it for free as a PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah.
And that way, all the players can just access the content. And then if they're interested in creating their own, they can go and buy a copy of Dreams. For me, that would solve the issue temporarily until exportation becomes a thing. And I think creators are going to expect it at some point because, they're creating in an engine, and any other engine offers the ability to export. So Dreams should be no different. It should be treated in the same class. At the end of the day, it is a creational suite, and it needs to have that ability.
See, I agree with everything that's being said, but I think that the first part of what you were stating could be fixed before all the rest of that comes, where you were saying there's more creators than players. And I feel like which you also touched on, I feel like that can actually be rectified before we get to the whole exporting thing. I feel like one of the main things we've talked about since we started, because we all love Dreams so much, is that when I look at it as and the way it's been marketed currently, now, mind you, it's a rough time, right? For everybody. So, let's not overlook any of that. But the fact that more people don't know what Dreams is the main problem and the main contributor, in my opinion, to that issue of basically more creators than players. Because really, most people, they think of it as they don't know. They don't know what it is to begin with. And then you have the fact that I've had now I'm up to about 6 of my friends have bought Dreams. And all I had to say to convince them was, hey, just in case you didn't know, you could spend under $40 and have a never-ending source of indie game development.
Right.
And just saying that alone to them was, so under $40, I have this nonstop thing that games are always created on? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how come I haven't heard of this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Because marketing is hard. Even when you have millions of money in your pocket, like Sony does, it's very hard to market this game. Like my story, they were thinking, how do we market this thing? And I said, Game Jam. Let's do the Game Jam. But I'm sure if they have a 10-year plan, you're right, James, and you're right, Kuro, on your opinions. I do agree with you. People don't know what Dreams are, and maybe a Dreams arcade would solve it as well. But then comes the big thing, which is put yourselves, let's look at it from a bigger perspective. Let's imagine you guys own Sony Entertainment, right? Studios or whatever it's called now.
Sony
Interactive Entertainment, yes.
Yeah.
Apologies to all my friends at PlayStation if you are listening to this. So imagine you have, you have there, and you got releases like God of War, and you've got, The Last of Us, and you've got games from indies that are made in Unity and Unreal Engine and Game Maker Studio and whatever else. And you're saying, okay, well, we're putting money into marketing games, and we market the indies, and we do these promotions, and we do these events, and do this, and we have these thing dreams here. And if you look at from an abstract point of view, it's just another tool. The only difference is it runs on PlayStation. It doesn't run on a PC. If you want to abstract things, if you look at it, in a very cold way, which is actually Dreams is a very warm game full of fuzzy things and really nice and cool people around it. But if you look at it from the money point of view, it's a tool to make games. Saying, why should we sponsor, although it's created in-house by PlayStation, not knowing what the plan is, why would we sponsor Dreams to market it when we can sponsor? They bought a share of Unreal Engine, of actually Epic Games, sorry. Last year, Sony bought a share of Epic Games. And you got that wonderful demo for PlayStation 5 in the canyons. Remember that one?
Looked wonderful. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful demo.
That money was probably better well spent as marketing than if they would not show games from Dreams. Although the games look great, they look nothing like that, right? So if you look at it from an abstract point of view, there are multiple barriers on the marketing and investment side to actually, what do we do with this? I'm sure they have a plan, but, looking at it right now, if you don't think about it too much, what would you do on their position? And then you have to think really hard and lay out a plan. Might be the arcade, might be the self-publish, each individually. Then we get to the legality of, if you get a share of sales on PlayStation, what does that mean for all the creators, and the shared creations, because it's made of elements and, everyone can use things from everyone else. How do you go about it? So I bet that whatever decisions they are doing or have made already haven't been an easy decisions, because the tool is so wonderful and the possibilities are so great that kind of almost eclipse the fact that there are games coming out. It's just the tool is amazing. The Dreams is great. We do everything. Okay, so what it's like when a kid is given so many toys and he doesn't even know. He look at what I don't even know which one I should start with. When you got your uncles over, show him your best toy. It's like I don't know which one. I will try to take all the toys to show my uncle, and of course the kid goes freaks out. So this is a bet. Sony has all these toys and they're like, okay, which one do we show? How do we do it? And of course it's a problem.
As much as I agree with you, I think that personally, from my perspective at least, Sony is really missing out on a fantastic marketing opportunity, because if they market Dreams in the correct way, and like what you're saying about people getting a share in the profit of games being sold from Dreams and stuff, it could be very easy to set up a standardized form, to say, look, if you release your game through Dreams, you get X amount. That's it. It's just a standard amount between all Dreams players, regardless of popularity. That's the standard. If they look at this the right way and they invest the time into it, it is very potential for Sony to be sitting on an absolute gold mine of indie developers that will be naturally exclusive to their platform, because Dreams is part of Sony's first party studio.
Right.
So they've got this potential to extract talent from Dreams and build an armada of game developers to release, especially like on the PlayStation Indies initiative that they've started. They really want to get into the indie scene, and they've got this whole category for indie games. And I feel that Dreams is definitely a gateway for them to be able to achieve that. And also from an advertising perspective, it's a massive shout to be able to say, we are literally the only console experience that offers you the ability to create games and publish them on our store. No other console offers that experience. And I just feel they're just missing out on so much. I mean, it's possible they've got plans for it in the future, but I think they really need to get it in.
I mean, as we've also discussed, just the idea that this all could be coming, like we don't know what they're doing, but at the same time, it's kind of like the whole idea of as we've talked about, like we could still be in the beta. Like technically there was a beta, but we could still be in the beta
we don't
of
know.
Dreams right now, but we don't know.
We think we're outside the matrix, but we're inside another matrix. Right?
always controlled.
It's just another layer. It's
An
just another
inception
layer.
of matrices.
Yeah. So let me put it this way. This is what I would think. I thought here for a few seconds about, if I was on their side. Here's what I'm thinking. When I, as an indie developer, make a game in Unity or Unreal Engine, you pack it in, I do all the tests, I'm paying all my people, and then I have to pay for QA and format QA, and I have to pay for translation. And the game is not, forgetting about the Cyberpunk case. If the game crashes, it's not released, or if the game has bugs, it's not released because it might damage your console, right? Sony doesn't want that. So you have to go through QA. QA is expensive. It might take months, right? It needs a special company that takes care of QA. Normally, you grab your game, you send it to a company that specializes in doing QA. They test everything, they throw everything at it, and they come back with a huge list of bugs, thousands of bugs. You go mad at it. You test it all. You try to fix them all. Now you might say, wait a minute, but Dreams is already bug proof. Whatever we do doesn't crash. That's not entirely true. You can go crazy and make the console go crazy as well, or even drop frame rate to absurd low levels, right? We know that. It's possible. So they actually have to do some QA if they go through the idea of here's a free, whatever, if it's the arcade free or the self-published, they would actually have to do QA to ensure that, you don't have a random penis somewhere hidden that will pop up that they haven't found, some profanity hidden, we know all of this happens, it's the first thing people do. Let me see if I can draw this thing. So they would have to go through QA to go and check. So they're paying for QA where the creators are not paying for QA, which would be a first, which is great. But then does Media Molecule and Sony want to pay QA for games that are made in Dreams? They could be paying for QA for games that are made in Unity or Unreal that look better, because it's not Dreams. Dreams is, but players, so for players on their side, when I'm going into the PlayStation Store to buy a game, then I go online to see a video or I see a review or it's a friend that told me you have to play that game. And probably they're looking at their side of an investment part of we still have to invest money and have a team of people that does QA besides curating. It's just not curating and choosing. This game is great, needs to be launched as an individual title. The legal part of we need lawyers to figure out the legality of contracts for the players. And then give them when they make payments. Imagine they have 1,000 Dreams games. The payments to do those, they would have an accounting firm, and in bank to send money to everyone. Valve does that. It spends a lot of money that. Basically, there are besides the obvious, there's the not so obvious part of they have to invest money to do this on a permanent basis to have permanent releases. So and they're probably thinking, is it worth it? I hope it is. Of course, for us, it's obvious it is. But they are still probably, if they have a 10-year plan, I hope this is what they're dealing with right now. And they're just, we have the money because we pay PlayStation Plus every month. Where is the money going to? Besides there's a lot of rumors that, do you think your money is going to multiplayer servers? But it's a lot. It's 60 or 70 million a month they get from PlayStation or more. I don't know. I saw that somewhere. So they have the money, but you have to make a financial decision. Do I put this money on this new process just for Dreams, for games that might look a lot like each other? Because we all know that it's hard to make a game not look like a Dreams game.
Right.
It takes a lot of hard work. So if you have 99 games that look like a Dream games and only one or two have coming out, that don't look how that guy did that look. Because it's always fuzzy, it's always cute, and it's hard to do hard surfaces and reflections, and it's like not everyone gets how to do that first. So there's a lot of stuff. I do hope they manage to pull through and to get the plan in action, and we get to the point in 2 or 3 years where we're buying games of Dreams out of PlayStation Store. Yeah, that would be amazing. It would be perfect.
Talc 33 in chat said, "What do you think Sony believes Dreams will do for them financially, uh, as or added value to the ecosystem? Like with everything you've told us now, like what do you feel is like the 10? If hopefully I'm not changing his question, but in the 10-year plan with all these things that need to be done, like what is the added value of Dreams having to go through all these steps that you've laid out as far as your knowledge of game development, which is probably above everyone's in this chat. Definitely the history, because I mean, I find it interesting your answers to these questions because it is
yeah, I
stuff
love
that
it.
we didn't have the
You
knowledge for.
Yeah, you get loyalty. You get, like, for example, there was an initiative here in Portugal in the late 90s, before there was Sony PlayStation Portugal. The licensing, a little bit of history here. Nintendo, now is Nintendo Iberia, which is Portugal and Spain. There was Nintendo Portugal and Nintendo Spain. Nintendo Portugal only appeared in 2009 or 2010. Before that, it was sub-licensed to a toy company. And PlayStation was licensed to a conglomerate of cinemas, TV, and other things to sell. And they did a wonderful job. It was called Luz ao Mundo. And so through the 90s, PlayStation was sold through those guys. And I know the guy that was there at the time, and he did a wonderful job. PlayStation overtook the market here. Like in the until Nintendo had its own Nintendo Portugal, and now Nintendo Iberia, Portugal and Spain were like 90 something percent market was PlayStation, and then you had a little bit of Nintendo, and Xbox was somewhere. So because of the amount of work they did and invest, so they invested on that. And how did they do that? They grabbed their main titles and translated them to Portuguese and Spanish, which was not usual. It was very unusual in Sarpi. Why are they translating these games to Portuguese? I will play it in English, which is, or Japanese, wherever it comes, it's the native language. Just put subtitles. And then somebody told me, but the kids don't know English, and the kids will play on a PlayStation, and parents will buy the games in Portuguese. Even if the game is not making the money back, and that happened a lot of times, they would translate a game to Portuguese, and we're a small market. We're 10 million in Portugal, and the market for PlayStation, I don't remember how many, it fluctuates depending on the console. But there were some games that would not make the money back. So why are you doing this? It doesn't matter, because it's being, a loyal fan base, because the kids will grow and continue with PlayStation. So the potential for Dreams is it's twofold, it's manifold. It can be they want to create a player base, or they want to create a developer base. Schools, they make games in Dreams, they publish. Where did you start it first? Oh, I started in Unity. No, I started in Dreams. So they might want to go there. Has nothing to do with money. Doesn't matter how many copies they sell. Can be that. Can be money. Down the line, 10 years, finally, they will make money back of 7 years of development of Dreams, plus now more, 10 years of investment in all of this. It can be a combination of both. Can be a long-term strategy for other things that we're probably not even thinking about right now. It can be, a lot of things. So, but right now, it's all guesses. My guess is as good as yours, because I really have no idea. Your ideas are as right as mine, because I also don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Next question then from Gizmo. Please tell me if I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm not sure if it's Gizmo or Gizmo or however, but it says, what do you think is the biggest thing his students will get out of learning Dreams? How could it help them in their future career?
Okay. So we're thinking that the people coming in for this postgraduate are people that are interested in video games but have no idea how to start. So this game, and we announced it's in Portuguese on the page, so apologies unless you use Google Translate. Good luck. It's always funny to see Google trying. And when we're not requesting students to know programming or modeling, or being good at art in any way, or being musicians, we're teaching game design. So what does that mean? That means that when they finish, they can do game design in anything else, right? It doesn't matter if they learned it with Dreams, they can make video games design. That's the main goal. So when they leave the postgraduate, hopefully, because as happens with every school, the first batch of students, I wouldn't say they're the beta students, but kind of they are, because I'm going to teach for the first time a lecture that I've tried, already prepared. But the second time I do it would be better, right? But so, and the third time will be better, and so on, until I get very tired and I say, okay, after 10 years of teaching this, maybe I should move on. But the thing is, they will leave with forget about the paper, the diploma. For me, that for the school means a lot, for me means nothing. But they will learn game design, and if they are really good game designers, regardless of they made it in Dreams or not, they will can show a video of a game they made. They can show, can download the game here. You can do that, and they learn game design. So that's the thing, because learning game design is super hard. It's not as easy as, it's as with every art. It's easier to teach game design in a tool like Dreams, where what you see is what you get, and it's like that, than it is in a tool like Unity, where you have to have some programming in. Even if it's drag and drop, you have to do a build, have to wait, has to be on a computer. You don't have the models, have to go there. Here, we don't have to worry about any of that. It's a platforming game. Okay, what is the first thing you have to think about? Okay, if it's a platforming game, you want the player to jump. How high does he jump? Because then that will determine how far away the platforms are, or how high. Will he pick up a power up for double jump later? Okay, put that in now, because you have to lay out the level thinking about backtracking or whatever it is. So, and then we go over color and shapes, because we go over how do you teach the player. If you're in a world like World of Warcraft, or a big arena or something, you have to direct the player either to the light, or you have to put some colors on the floor like a path, so he follows the path, or put an NPC there. You will look at, there's an NPC, let me go see what it is. So you will teach these basics that are now common base for all games. It can be, can be anything. And so we will go through that with them, and hopefully they turn out on the other side understanding much more of game design, and then they can make a choice. They can make an educated choice if they want to. Okay, now I know what this is. I really want to do this. Let me go into programming. Let me go into art, while I continue on Dreams making my thing. Or they just go directly at it and try to apply for, which is hard, because I think you will get a lot of negatives. 99%. Where did you learn game design? Dreams? Wait a minute. What is this? So it will take some time, but at least it is a stepping stone for all these people that have never made video games, and want to learn, how does a game work. So I think that's the type of students we want, and that's the type of people we think will come out on the other side of this course.
Okay. So based off of all that, I wanted to ask, before we went live, we were talking about Dreams and our interactions with the community, and you had stated that someone had actually said something to you, and I want to point it out now because I think it's important. You want to go back over that about the level?
Oh, the level thing. Yeah, I can say that. So somebody pointed out to me, and it was an honest question. I would say it's not. It was not. It was perfectly honest, and I can see where they're coming from. It's just like, your level in Dreams is really low. How can you be teaching Dreams? If your level is so low, you should have had by now. I'm level 30, I think. Should by now be level whatever, or it's not only 1%. It has come up a few times. And I'm like, well, but I'm not teaching, although it's an honest question, why? But I work on video games every day, from 9 p.m. to 6 p.m., 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. When I get home, the last thing I want to do is to make more video games. So when I go into Dreams to have fun, it's for a short time. I'm actually making some stuff in there, but I'm just having some fun. So you won't see something from me until probably at the end of the classes, when the students have their project. And I made this project alongside theirs just to show them how it works. So I made a lot of stuff in Dreams just to try. When I do my games, logic is there. Where is the logic? Like normally, when a new one of the new teachers came to us and he wanted to see Dreams for the first time, so we didn't know what about Dreams. He started asking all the obvious questions. Where are variables? How can I interconnect and move that thing? okay, I have puppets, but what is this puppet? Is it with inverse kinematics for the legs to touch the floor? Does it have a collision box? How do I do a trigger zone? So you started asking all the right questions of somebody that already did video games. And that's me. When I got into Dreams, I just started saying, oh, this is what they call it. Oh, this is what they do it. Oh, this is how they're doing it. Can I do this? No, I cannot do this. I have to go around to do it the other way. So the amount of time I spent in Dreams is irrelevant, because I say my and Wilson's the same, and most of my friends that try Dreams that make video games, it's a shorter learning experience, more about where is that. It's like, I would compare it like you're used to using Microsoft Word to do your essays or something, and then you jump to Apple, whatever it is called, and you're just searching for where's the button to delete or the button to copy paste or something. It's the same, right? So that's why my level is low. I don't have enough time to do that. I would love to do more. I actually would love to make an entire game from start to finish. But I do it again just for fun as I have time to pick it up. Yeah.
Okay, I just think it's important for those that have been here and know how much you've been through in becoming a game developer, and who just blowing us away with information right now, that the one negative that I've truly found in the community are people who level shame. Like, I think that's the biggest thing I've run into so far, which, to be honest, it's not a big thing. Like, it's not like I've run into it every day, but I've had it proposed to me. Like, someone has been like, hey, how are you doing a podcast about dreams when you're still like a level 50? And I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it, but it's like, who are you to tell, like, to be the one, to be like at the forefront of like the dreams community as an ambassador?
Right.
I'm just and so that's just something personally that I would like to get out there, because everybody starts from somewhere, and,
right?
Yeah, and you can't, like, for me, one of my main gifts in life is the gift of gab. Like, I love talking. so it's like what I can't do in dreams yet, even though I've proven I can do that now. Okay, but even though I can't, even though like that doesn't translate all of my skill to people, it's just when I first ran into that, it was very disheartening. So if you see somebody out there level shaming someone, just go ahead and shut them down, please, for me.
It doesn't. I did not even know that was a thing. And again, it was asked, I think twice, and both times were perfectly honest questions, like just randomly. So when a kid comes up to you and asks something that an adult you would consider an insult in a kid, you're just like, oh, he's just curious. Here is for me at least, it was the same, not in a mean way, but level shaming on a mean way, I would say. Normal, well, it's the internet, right? You get hate speech everywhere, and you get people being assholes everywhere on the internet, and I'm kind of used to it by now. I just ignore it and move on. It doesn't really. When I was younger, it affected me, and I always talk back and explain. And I'm at that point where I just move on, and it really doesn't really matter, whatever it is. Like one of the games that I launched, which is Murder in the Hotel Lisbon, and it's a pixel art game. It's on Steam. There were people that hated the game, and it has a lot of jokes that are Portuguese jokes, and some of them were translated to English. And actually, we got some bad reviews. People hated the game, but I had both ends of the spectrum. I had people that loved it. They were saying this is the greatest thing ever. So how do I deal with it? I read it, like if it's, somebody hated it, and they might be right. I had people that hated the game, and I read it, and they were absolutely right, because the game is a humor game, and there are some jokes there that are very edgy, but for Portugal, it's not edgy enough. It's very tame, it's very soft. And so I had to consciously edit the English version to be even softer than what we have here in Portugal. For some of the jokes and some of the dialogues. And it was super hard, because I'm editing my own text in my own game of the script I wrote, and I'm doing with my colleagues. And in Portugal, I actually had already toned it down, because we thought we were going too far, because it's a game that takes place in the 80s. And Portugal in the 80s was, I don't know what's the best comparison, maybe USA in the 20s or 30s. It's people were just, they would say the nastiest things, and people were just like, yeah, okay. It's like, Dad, did you know as a kid he said that? Say it's fine, it's just making fun. Is he? So when I made that game, it's kind of a comedy game that makes fun of 80s in Portugal, and I knew immediately this will be a problem for the international market, but I don't care. It's my creation. I'm portraying Portugal as a what you call it? It's a caricature. That's the word. Yeah, right. But even for the English version, I toned it down. And when I had bad reviews because of that, I read it, and I replied, "You're right, but you have to remember where this is coming from. You have to look at the background, of what we're trying to do here." And still, the person replied, "I understand, but I still hate it," and said, "You're totally free to hate it and to say as bad as thank you so much." It was this person was amazing, because she said, "Okay, I understand you better. Thank you for replying, and we're fine." And she hated the game. So it always depends on, in this case of level shaming, where is this person coming from? Maybe they are right. Maybe they are asking my level on a personal basis of, wait a minute, can I ask, what level are you? But when you read it online, written, you're in your head, you're reading it in a different tone. Oh, this guy is saying this. So at least at my age, I just, have a huge filter about all of this stuff. I just don't care anymore. If it's a legitimate question, I answer. If it looks a bit strange, I like, whatever. This person will eventually grow up or not. And, life will go on. So,
Yeah.
But all good. It's fine.
So then I'll get right into the next one. This could be I don't know, could be taken the wrong way, but what, like, in your time in Dreams and seeing what other people have created, like, is there a mistake that you see a lot of new game designers making that you would like people to keep in mind when going forward developing on this new platform?
Okay, that's an interesting one. Thank you for that question. Like, you have to be aware of your environment. So when I teach about video games, I always say, look, we're living in 2021, but I absolutely bet that you cannot imagine that in 20 or 30 years how it will look like for video games. And I can totally, if you're a kid and you just happen to be born now, if nobody told you anything, you would look at everything, you just see screens of all sizes, right? You have small screen, big screen, medium screen, screen that you can touch, screen that you can't touch, screen with keys, screen without keys. On our side, as we see it, we see, oh, that's a game for PlayStation, so that game goes on PlayStation on that screen. Where do you play? I play on a mobile. I have an iPhone. Oh, you're those. You have an iPhone. Oh, you have an Android. So you segment and you compartmentalize. But for developing video games, so what you have to do is think about it where your game will be. And so the story of Under Siege, a real-time strategy game on a console, this was an important concept. How do you develop this? How do you design? And our first design was, how do you get the controller to work perfectly for a game? And so the design of the game went around the fact that you only have those buttons. You cannot see a mouse on screen. You have to have a big circle. The interface on the TV needs to be a bit bigger because you're in the couch sitting down. Of course, TVs now are bigger, and get bigger and bigger. But so you have to look at your surroundings and think, okay. And when I mean surroundings, I mean everything. So when you're looking at Dreams, you have to think what other players are seeing. What do they see? They go into Dreams. They want to play a game. They go to the list and they see all this list of, stuff. A lot of them with likes and with recommended by Mediamodical, top 1, top 10. So you have to be smart, right? So as a game designer, you have to play a lot of them and look at them and start thinking, okay, what would be cool for me as a player to find in this environment? I'm sitting on the couch, Sunday morning, instead of watching cartoons and eating cereals, I've done this. I'm eating cereals and looking for animations and, looking at what people are doing. So people are probably looking for bite-sized experiences, like small ones that are fast. That for me happens a lot. There's a lot of games that I love, but it drags on for too long and I just want to try the next one. for example. But maybe I'm alone in this kind of thing. Maybe metrics are different. There's no analytics. We don't know our audience. That's one thing. When you make a game for mobile, you know your audience and you can target your audience. Here you can't. You don't know what your audience. Just know it's other creators. So you have to be smart. And when you're creating experience in Dreams, I would probably recommend for you to look around on what the other games are doing, which ones are the most successful ones, and try to figure out why. Because you can go either two ways. You can go the safe bet and try to make a game that fits the profile of people that are playing Dreams and gather more audience, and then you make another game that is a bit bigger or different. Or you just go, in a completely opposite direction, do something that nobody has done before, which might be harder because you have to think more about it, might take longer. So you have to look at the environment you're in, the current time, even the fact that we're in COVID matters. Like the company I'm working on, I didn't say this at the beginning, I'm a producer at Lockwood Publishing. We have a video game that is played by 10 million people every week, which is called Avakin Life. And Avakin Life is a mix of SimCity and Second Life. And it's the same team that used to do PlayStation Home.
Okay.
So it's the same team evolved into making a mobile game, which is called Avakin Life. And our analytics and all our studies are, our audience has a small phone in their hands. They probably are younger people, and our demographics show that they are very young people. Our audience is actually a lot of our audience is female, bigger than male. So all of our content is directed for female, or most of it. So the same with every game that you make. When I talk with my students in game design, and this will happen with Dreams, you can't forget that they will be making Dreams in a desk with the screen right in front of them. But people don't play it like that. They play it in the couch, very far away from the TV, regardless of the size. And they probably will play for an hour if it would be a normal game, or 2 hours, like the casual suspects of Cyberpunk that released now, or Assassin's Creed, or whatever you want to call it. So Dreams, they will probably play less time because they're used to more bite-sized experience. So make a really cool bite-sized, but instead of making a small game, make maybe multiple levels that are small so people can return and continue. Instead of a big level that takes 20 or 30 minutes to go through. Or maybe break it up. It's still the same level, but break it up, because people I've noticed are playing small bite-sized. Even the main campaign in Dreams, Arts, what is it called? Arts Stream. Thank you. You have all these small experiences that don't take that long, and they're always completely different and fun, or you come back to it a bit later. So you have to be smart with your game design, regardless of if it's a first-person shooter, third-person driving, whatever. And go for it, or be completely mad and crazy and mental and do something unexpected. That's also cool. Sometimes that works.
I think the reason why the majority of Dreams playthroughs are bite-sized is purely because obviously everyone is still learning how to use Dreams. Dreams is very much in its early stages, and the majority of players that are creating have never created anything else before. So it's all fresh and new. So a lot of people are releasing a lot of smaller sized games right now whilst they're learning the process of game development. And I think like the end of this year in 2022, we're going to see a lot more larger games come on to Dream, where people's been developing them since the beta. So as much as I agree with you that, bite-sized content is good right now, I think that people shouldn't be discouraged from creating larger scale developments within Dreams, because at a point it's going to become normality for bigger games to be the norm within Dreams.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. We had a question from Gizmo again in chat saying, if everything will be done online for your class, are you considering getting students from around the world in the future?
Oh, very good question.
Yes, that's a good question, and the answer is yes. Actually, you can apply right now. Let me just check here online. I think the website has an English version.
No, it definitely translates.
It translates, okay, because all of this is the faculty or the university, whatever you want to call university, is actually part of a bigger conglomerate in Europe, and they have a mandate that all classes need to be in English so that students from anywhere in the world can join. But the only difference here was when we actually open the course, we open as it's mandatory for it to be physical in class at the school, because we have the PlayStation, we have Dreams, and we have the controllers. And I want the kids, again, the kids. I want the students to be there, and we have to be there with them. So that's why. But in the future, I've been asked this a lot. Can we do it online? Can we do it? I said, I really don't want to do it online. You can imagine how it's going to be, because I will have students streaming through the PlayStation, either through, and then, checking their work, me streaming again for them to check. It's a process. It's not as fast as being in a class where I can just look at all the screens and, press here, do that. Oh, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it right. It's the right decision because of COVID, but I don't know how it will be in the future. We'll probably roll back to being in class. We'll see how it goes, but it's definitely open for international students. I just don't know yet if it's a good idea, because we don't know if we'll go back to being, mandatory to be there physically, or if we open up to being just online or online plus, I don't know. Stay tuned.
Indeed. So, we had two statements really come in. For Jammy, Liam said that if you want creators to play as well, though, he's right. It needs to be small or a brand new, amazing idea. What's your thought? What's your thought on that?
I agree with you that, the bite-sized content is good for new players within Dreams, but what you also have to consider is the normal player base of games that are not used to the ecosystem, shall we say, of Dreams, where we know we're expecting smaller sized experiences because people are developing. We're all in this community and we're talking all the time, so we know what to expect on Dreams. But people that have never seen Dreams before are going to be expecting what they always expect, which is highly polished fidelity content, tons of gameplay, amazing cutscenes, because we are spoilt for choice these days for games. Game development has come such a long way. You can't distinguish whether sometimes a cutscene is a movie or an actual CGI. It's so difficult now these days to determine the difference. So I think there needs to be a mixture of both to keep the player base going, because as much as the short experiences are great, I think the majority of people that are new to Dreams are going to be expecting a lot more.
Maybe the smart choice is to make, a new IP, new character, new experience mechanic, whatever. Do it bite-sized first, and then expand and recreate that experience as a bigger. So as a creator, you first do something small, which is always what you should do with any type of art. Start small, and slowly go big. So you do a smaller game, and let's say it's a small character that you created and it's just a small platforming game. Do it small. And then you do the same one again, but bigger. And since it's the same brand, like the guys from Pig Detective are doing, which they are in the third game, I think.
Yeah.
So you just can get it bigger. So the person that played the bite-sized experience, if they liked it, and they go and then search for, did these guys do anything else? Oh, they did a sequel. And they play in the sequel, it's bigger, and then the third time it's even bigger. Maybe that's a good choice as well to start, because as a creator you start small and you grow big. On the other hand, you're giving a bite-sized experience plus a bigger experience. So I think both worlds are possible. But again, I would go back to the bite-size, saying if you're starting, or if you want to just create something, go small, and like you guys are doing now. If you want to go big, then go really big. In between, maybe it's not a good idea. Like, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell.
I was just thinking, like, the in between probably sounds the best to me right now.
Really,
but only if it fits the game. Like I say, go for whatever you want to go for. Like, there's because like you can
do whatever you want. That's the cool part.
You can go small, but also, as I found out, going small allowed me the time to get better at Dreams. And now I'm just like, oh, well, now I can do that over the way I actually wanted to. But yeah, thinking of something's big, but turning it episodic. So
Probably as well. Yeah.
yeah, like that's what I mean by the end, by the middle ground is like if you have this huge sprawling thing, then it could be good if you're correct to basically make it episodic, but then have the end result that Jamie proposes, where it's like it is small and bite sized, but in all, it's ginormous. So
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
And another thing you also need to consider is the scope of your ability of what you want to create. Like for us, for instance, at Lucid Nebula with Dino, we have a team of 8 people working on that. So it's much easier for us to scope our game larger because we have a lot more people working on it. So, we have one people working on
Of
animation.
course.
We have another people working on the environment, someone else working on the logic. So it's a lot easier to scope a larger game because we have a lot more resources. And that's also something that you really need to consider. If it's you on your own and you want to make something solo, then yeah, definitely bite size is the way to go, because you want to make this massive open world RPG. You're going to burn out within the first 2 months and you're just not going to want to pick it up again. So I think it also comes down to that. You need to scope your project according to the amount of people that's involved to be able to spread the workload.
Yeah. Also, again, this comes from a long time ago. You have to play to your skills, right? If Kuro here has a great voice, it's great because you guys can do, narration or have characters with great. True, you play to what you're best at. If you're a great musician, maybe you should be doing a game for blind people. Has anyone done that before on Dreams, where you play the controller vibrates, their sound. Maybe you can do a game for blind people because you're a musician. You can play with the sound in Dreams. And if you're not good at modeling, don't go there. Go for logic and do some contraption that is crazy and cool, or some game loop and use art from someone. That's the cool thing. If you're not good at art, you can use the art from other people. It's fine. It's okay. Obviously, this then will be a problem later down the line with if you want to publish it or something like that appears. But you have to start somewhere. So play to your strengths. Don't go crazy and try to do something that you don't know if you can do. And if you're a team, play to your strengths as well, and do games that you can finish and you can publish and go there. So yeah, and you guys are 8, so that's a lot of people for a Dreams game. That's cool. That's crazy cool.
So, well, we'll see if we all survive this ordeal. It sometimes feels like the Hunger Games out here, but so Talc33 said, I feel the point of Dreams, at least for now, is for people just to express themselves. There's room for all types of games, music, and art. And I agree with that. But it makes me think back to the previous conversation we were having around like exporting. And I think that games are the hardest piece of that equation. Because when I think of like movies or short films, animations, music, like those things are easily exported once you've made it. The hardest part is importing when it comes to those. But yeah, like I think it's really important for people to realize that it's not just games. And I didn't get into Dreams for gaming. That was never my intention. It's become a thing I do now, but it was never it's not why I walked through the door. And so like with people like we've spoken to, I'm not sure if you've seen any of our other episodes, but we had on Twitter, there's a gentleman, Scott, who's at SZ73. And he works in Australia with like television and film. And he actually built a game in 24 hours for a TV show. And
I think I saw that. I remember something about it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great.
And then you have people like I know Martin Nebelong, which everybody knows, and like he's doing previs in film with people, like with actual studios. And it's just I really do think that like Well, this goes into my other argument, I guess, of me not caring whether or not I get left behind as far as technology goes. But we've had a big conversation about fractures in the community, like PS4 to PS5 or PSVR, and how that affects the whole Dreamiverse. And I've stated that I plan to have a PlayStation 5 at some point, so I don't care if something comes out that is only accessible in PS5. Like I say push it as far and as fast as you can go, and I'll catch up. But a lot of people feel like it's going to destroy dreams. And so to, I guess, wrap that all the way back around, it's kind of like maybe if it wasn't as focused on gaming. Like if they were just like, okay, well, because I know they've toyed around with the idea of 3D printing, like people's sculpts and stuff like that. Like maybe I'm wrong because I don't know. You might be able to answer this for me. But I feel like going the route of getting music, getting animation, and getting art out of dreams is a lot easier than getting gaming out of dreams at the moment.
I would say music, yes. It's a great tool for music. For modeling and printing, I would say that a season modeler is faster in a package like Maya, ZBrush, you name it, than in Dreams. I have a very good friend that does some of the characters for Blizzard. The name is escaping me. Overwatch.
Okay, yeah.
So he does skins for them and he does characters, and you can't believe how fast he is. He has his own setup on his PC. He has his own plugins on Macs. He works both with Maya and Max at the same time to jump in and back, because some plugins are better at one thing than other plugins. Is super fast. So I would never see somebody be as fast as, we would never be as fast as that in Dreams, or I haven't seen anyone fast enough that I would say, oh, this is now faster in Dreams than in a normal 3D package.
That's interesting, because everyone we've had on argues the opposite.
Yeah.
They haven't seen great professionals. You have to be really good at 3D to be really fast with a normal package like Maya or 3D Max or even Blender, if you want to go there. I've seen them and they are fast. I won't go into details because he's my good friend. He has a lot of contracts with these guys. I cannot go there.
Yeah.
But it takes a few weeks to make one of those characters. But he can do it faster if there are no revisions. Like I would say, he can make one of those characters in a week if he wants to. And doing one of those complex characters with all the weapons and all the things and effects in a week, that's really good. So, in Dreams, even with the PlayStation Move controllers, I've tried it. I actually, somebody was asking to use the PlayStation Move controllers or the gamepad. And I use the gamepad for 90% of the time. And then the Move controllers, if I want to do some slight modeling, and I want to be a bit more freedom. But then, I don't use it because I grab the controller and I just drop it. I normally use Dreams on a desk, not at the sofa in the living room. So I actually have two PlayStations, one in the office and one in the living room. And the one in the office is the one I use for Dreams, and now is going to be used for the classes. And so I lay my hands on top of the table because after 2 or 3 hours, being with your arms in the air and doing things, your arms get tired. So modeling, I think it's faster outside of Dreams. Music, I think it's a very good tool. Looks great. I would love to see probably musician is faster there in some other, but it's take it with a grain of salt. I'm not entirely sure. As for animation, it depends on what you do with animation, right? It depends on what you're going for. So it depends. But again, you cannot export it to other formats outside. That's the main thing. The moment you can export it, probably it will explode the things you can do. But the same with the games we were speaking at the beginning. The moment you can publish it, it will explode. So modeling, no, I think it's faster outside. Sorry, guys.
I just find it interesting because there are a lot of people who have all come on here saying that it's faster, and I think the difference I think the difference might lie in, well, maybe it's not the, I don't know. I feel like the difference might be in previs as opposed to like completion. It's like I can put together this idea faster in Dreams, whereas it might take me a week here to just get the previs if I want to try to get it right. Whereas in Dreams, I could just throw it up, and see how it looks.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's the difference. If you want to do something to just throw stuff there, you can be faster there. But if you want to do something fine-tuned and perfected and finished, it's faster in other packages. That might be what other people have said here before. Yeah.
Yeah, and Notre Dame said that I believe Dreams would be faster for a novice, but for a pro, it's probably cumbersome.
It is. It is.
And
I can tell you that when we did the game jam, so it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all of the students that started, it took them the whole afternoon and night of Friday to get to grips with the gyroscope and me telling them, because you have the option to turn off the gyroscope and just use the analogs, and me just slamming them down, say, don't do that, use the gyroscope, you will thank me later, go to the gyroscope, don't change the controls. But I could see them struggling so hard and say, why can't we use the mouse? Why can't I just use the keyboard and mouse? And said, no, this is how it works, you will see. And then on Saturday you would see huge improvements. They would go, it's a game jam, some of them would sleep there on the school, others would go home, and on the second day they will be fresher, and it would see the big difference of them getting faster. And by Sunday they would be almost not medium level of fastness of putting things together, but they were 24/7 just there, bam bam bam, and you could see the struggle. And I actually had one or two students said, I don't care for this at all, I'm not doing anything, I will just make the design and help with the choices and do some marketing here on Twitter and do some things there, I'm not building anything on Dreams. So you can see the struggle of the gamepad for whoever works somewhere else. So even with programmers, it's the same. You see a programmer going and he gets really confused. Why is this way? Why isn't it, the other way around? What's going on here? So yeah, speed is relative, like Einstein said, right?
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be some people wanting to challenge this idea. We have Eddie in chat, and he's asking if you've seen Martin Nebelong's work.
I'm sorry, I have no idea who he is. Seems I have to check it out, right?
I will send you a link to his YouTube. So because he has some pretty much some like videos of his work in real time as well as like sped up, so you could see how fast he was able to do things. And we consider, well, a lot of people consider him and people like Bad Robo the final bosses of Dreams.
Yeah,
so
they're the dream gods.
So I would be interested once you've seen them, how you feel, because I still feel like the difference might be the I guess the perceived quality of the finished product.
Probably, yeah.
For each,
that's probably what we're talking about. Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see your thoughts on that after the fact. So, Jamie, did you have any other questions? I have one more, but
you go ahead.
Okay, so you've also worked in comics and graphic novels.
Yeah.
So has anyone from your different teams like worked in Dreams or tried to transfer that graphical quality to Dreams?
No.
Okay.
No.
That was quick.
That was easy.
I'm sorry. Fat no. You. Some of the artists I've worked with, some very good friends, they stay clear of technology as much as they can.
Okay.
Like in general. So a thing like Dreams for them is like the devil or something. You won't even get them near something like this.
Okay, I just wanted to know because I've spoken countless times, and when we had Abby from Media Molecule on the podcast, I had talked about peripherals and how like I would like to be able to use my tablet in Dreams when dealing with drawing in Fleck, as opposed to the the motion controls, because this isn't conducive with what I do. Like I'm so specific about my lines and placement and everything. Like definitely a line artist, but like it's so specific that I feel like it's something that I can't transfer to Dreams in a fashion that basically would be worth the time, if that makes sense.
The transition I've noticed more recently with seasoned pros working for Marvel or DC or any other one of the bigs that work here in Portugal, and I know a couple of them, very good friends. They made the transition from Wacom Intuos or Cintiq to iPad. That's where the transition occurred, because they say I'm faster now with an iPad Pro and a pen with the new versions and Photoshop there, or Paint Pro
Procreate
or
whatever. Yeah.
Than I was with Wacom, and the big cumbersome PC. So they want the clarity. The second thing is, for a comic artist, an illustrator, the market of selling the original pages and the original drawings is much higher than the rate they are paid per page. So it's in their best interest to continue doing it the old school way of ink on paper for every one of their comics, because if they're paid $100 a page, or $150 or $200, whatever, depending on if you are a big pro, you can get $500 a page. If you are starting, you can get $50 a page or even less. But if you sell the page of an original, it can go, if it's a very famous comic, it can go thousands, right? So suddenly you see yourself, taking a project like, Spider-Man, Iron Man, whatever, Batman, I don't know, and they pay you 100, 200, 300 per page. And then you can go to the market that exists markets for this in Comic Cons and whatever, and you sell some of the pages for the same amount again. So you are doubling your income. So this is super important for artists that do comics to keep the traditional way. I love it. I have some hanging in my walls, some pages of some of my comics, which is great. I wouldn't have them. I have some friends that jump to digital with the iPad, and they love it because it's super fast, it's great, detailed, and that's where they'll stay. And they are risk adverse to digital because they feel like, what happens if I lose my work? If the SSD drive goes boom, if the cloud, whatever, you're talking about people that are more concerned about their artwork than the tools they use. So they want the tools to be as simple and as fast as possible. And Dreams is not detailed. It uses the little balls, little flecks for detail. Plus, it runs on the PlayStation. You cannot touch it like you do with a Wacom, where you touch the pen, down somewhere, so you can feel it and you can feel the flow. It was the no I gave you earlier for all these reasons.
Yeah, it was quick, but yeah, they fleshed it out. So let's go ahead and get that out of here. So Eddie, I want to address what you stated, because them fighting words. He said, I think people who are good at figure drawing will be good with moves, as the moves are broad. You draw with the shoulder more than your wrist. Well, sir, I went to school and graduated in painting and figure drawing, not in illustration. And I can tell you, for me personally, no, it does not help.
It's a good answer.
Yes, but that's for me though. That's for me though. Everybody has their thing, and I've argued this before. Like, I'm not trying to say that the moves are bad, or that that Dreams is bad. Really, I'm just saying that people, just like the argument of mouse or controller for gaming, like, it's whatever you're comfortable with and goes along with how you work. That will dictate how well you do with certain things. And for me, I'd hate to not have the ability to do what I love in Dreams, being that it does everything else I love. Like, it's just like right now, me not getting my lines is the only thing that Dreams doesn't do for me. And I'm like, man, if I could get that one thing, if I could, I'm pretty much married to Dreams already. But if I put the ring on the finger, if it could give me that one last thing,
one more tool, one more thing, one more tool.
So, but But yeah, ultimately, is there anything else you would like to go over to either of you as far as this episode before we shut it down?
I think I've just been overwhelmed with so much insight information, and I've loved every second of it. I don't think I have any other questions right now.
Cool. Thank you. Do I have anything, one last thing to say?
Yeah, you said you have a podcast of your own. I mean, throw that
It's in
out there.
Portuguese. It's in Portuguese, so feel free to Google. How do you say this in English? I will say it in Portuguese, and good luck in finding it. It's called Super Papo Seco, and you could translate it loosely as "super is super," but Papo Seco is like a type of bread that is hollow. It's like a terrible bread. You hate it. But it's also an expression that our fellow Brazilians use to talk a lot. And so you have super pop six, so you talk a lot about nothing and just have some fun. Like Seinfeld, it's a show about nothing. So we talk a lot about nothing in video games in that show, and it's in Portuguese. It's super hilarious to put Google Translator in YouTube to see how it translates. We cried tears of laughter looking at it. But you have that. You can find me. I can do some plugs here. You can find me online on my. You just type my name, filipeduartepina.com, and you will find my website with a lot of links for a lot of videos and stuff of projects I did over the years. You can still buy Under Siege on the PlayStation 3 for $4.99 on the console itself because they shut down the store on the web browser. And my last game that I released was actually a port for the Nintendo Switch that came out in October for the Murder in Hotel Lisbon game that came out from 2013 on Steam. So if you want to look at that, there's no demo, and I think it's also, is it $9.99? I don't remember. It was released after I left the company, so I left everything ready, and then my partner took care of the publishing and the final steps for QA. So you have, those two gems, I would say. They are not amazing games. They are great games for my market here, Portugal, like perfect, because they fit the bill. Under Siege was considered a 7 out of 10 at Edge Magazine at the time. So that's, that's something.
Yeah.
But it's now, if you play it, it looks super old. And I'm on Twitter. I think Twitter is the best way to find me. I don't. I would also like to say at the end is like I see a lot of people posting, I'm doing something on Dreams and people say, why don't you show it? Show me something. I said, no, the stakes are too high. People will expect a nice polished game from my side. So if I publish something, it has to be something cool. So I say the same for people starting, which is don't waste too much time promoting, constantly everything you do on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Take your time, have some fun. Only market it when you feel like, I usually like to say you only start marketing the product when you know when it's coming out, right? This is like a rule I've used with all my games, which is finally we have like an alpha or beta and where we know exactly that's the period of time. We can plan now our marketing strategy to start, because if you start talking about a game that you're not sure yet what will be the final result, might be you can still start marketing, but put your effort in the game, especially if you're indie or if you're alone, before you put the effort in the market. If you have money to spend, then you can do both, but I would go there.
With the money doesn't help. I mean, look at Final Fantasy 15. Look at the mess that made with itself.
Yeah, sometimes money doesn't help. That's right. But yeah, so you can find me online, talk to me. I won't promise I reply. I did enter. I'm on the Discord here with the guys. I'm on that channel of Mighty Vicious, so I'm also there. I'm not always online, like very rarely. I don't know if it's a good idea to put out there my PSN ID, but you'll probably find me. It's not that hard. And I don't know. How do we close this?
Well, I would like to take the last moments to say that as far as, well, one, this episode has been amazing. I
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like my
for sure.
brain has downloaded all the information, and I have to go back. And it's all thinking about all the things I'm working on. But I'm like, but what would he think about it? Like, how would
Oh,
he
come on.
tell me to move forward?
I feel old now. You're making me feel old. You know, oh, that
Well,
old guy knows how it is.
everybody in chat when you were telling your origin story was like, how old is this guy? He doesn't look that old. Like, what's
No. If that, that's the secret. I have the beard. If I shave this beard, I look like, this meme where the guy shaves the beard, looks like a kid. That's me. I look like a very young kid. My wife always tells me, don't shave because then I look like a pedophile holding hands with you in the street. So how old am I? I'm in my 40s. But I'm getting a bit fat with COVID, staying at home. But yeah, I've got good skin. I've got that going for me at least. Thank you.
Awesome.
At least that thing. Anyway.
Yeah, but also thank you for being here. And for closers, I would just like to say thank you to the Dreams community. I did get the nomination from Media Molecule for voice acting, and it's honestly, just as a person who hasn't. I'm thinking of how to say this because I don't want to make it sound like a woe is me type thing. But the idea, I will say that I have never been shown facts to the idea that hard work pays off. I've done a lot in my life and it's never paid off for me. And so for me, just the idea of getting the nomination, I don't need the MP. Just getting the nomination alone means a lot more to me than I think a lot of people think. So thank you to the people who voted for me in the first round. And maybe because they can't vote in the second round, I might have a chance.
I just want to say I'm really proud of everyone that got nominated for an MP, but our team actually got three members of our team got nominated for MPs this year. So we had Will for his voice acting on Dino. We had Zodira for voice acting on The Twilight Shift. And we had Venway for his remix of Masher Button's soundtrack, which is fantastic. It's so good to see people's work get appreciated and get nominated. So I'm really looking forward to the awards and seeing who gets those golden MP awards. It's going to be nice.
Indeed. And with that, I mean, if you have nothing left to add, I don't want to cut you off. You seem like a well of information, and I'm honestly
I
don't
know,
want
we
the
just want to
episode
seep
to
it. We just want to keep going.
Yeah, sorry. I still it's almost 10 p.m. here, and I finished work. I jumped here to start this, and I still haven't had dinner, so I will go and grab my dinner after I finish.
We will let you go.
Yeah, dinner and a drink. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you all next week, where we're going to be doing a Dreams Roundtable with a bunch of people at the same time. So, and so thank you for joining us. Love you all. Peace out.
Much love.
Bye-bye, guys.